Think about franchising, think about two sets of people. One is the franchisor, that's the person that owns the brand, owns the intellectual property, the trademarks. They're the one with the systems and all of the game. We'll call it the umbrella company. And then you've got the franchisee. They're the ones that are on the ground. They're actually operating the business. And I'll use McDonald's because everybody knows who they are. So when you walk into a McDonald's, 99% of the time, you are in a franchisee location. And that franchisee is operating by using the game that the umbrella company taught them. That's the franchisor. So you've got McDonald's, the umbrella corporation. They've got recipes. They've got systems. They've got what the uniform looks like. What does the place look like? I want to buy into that brand. I want to become one of their operators, which is the franchisee. I pay them a fee. They train me. They give me the game. They give me the recipes, the secrets, and they support me as a franchisee.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Marvin Francois Show, your number one source for all things business, finance, and investing. And today is a very special day because our guests today are entrepreneurs, educators, strategists, community leaders, and business franchising experts extraordinaire. They're the brains behind Blackbox Franchising, a movement on a mission to democratize the path to ownership by helping everyday entrepreneurs turn their business into a franchise brand. One of them built a brand from a $500 startup into a national franchise. Another turned the F45 business model into a launching pad for others to succeed. And the last led the largest Black-owned franchisor in the entire United States. And whether they're building a franchise system or educating the next wave of leaders in their space, their mission remains the same: to empower our community with the tools, information, and resources needed to create a franchise legacy today that'll last a lifetime. And right now, they're here to do more of the same. Ladies and gentlemen, from Newark, New Jersey, Jersey City, New Jersey, and Elmsford, New York, I'm here with the one, the only, Mr. Jay Sims, Mr. Darren Hawthorne, and the always incredible Mrs. Kika Wise of Blackbox Franchising. What's going on, family? How are you?
What's up?
Shout out
What
to
an
you.
intro, right? Listen, I mean, you got to roll out the red carpet. You understand what I'm saying?
Wow.
For sure. Listen, have to. How are you guys feeling today?
I feel good.
Good.
Feel blessed.
Good.
Amazing.
Good. Very excited to have. We don't often have three heavy hitters on at the same time, but when you gotta make something happen, you gotta make something happen, and we're here. So I'm looking forward to this conversation. Thank you all for coming on. I know that this is going to be a very empowering talk, not just for me, because I got some questions I need answers, but of course for the audience as well. And I'm looking forward to it. I know I did a okay job of introducing you guys, but obviously no one knows you guys better than you guys yourselves. So for those who are unfamiliar, let's get them familiar. What is or who is Blackbox Franchising?
Yeah, so we help turn small businesses into national franchise brands. Not just that, it's not just transactional. We actually educate the small business owner and help develop their mind to prepare them for franchising. So it's full service franchise development company that helps build wealth, generational wealth for small business families.
Let's unpack that a little bit, because I know each of you, as I touched on in the intro, had your own individual ventures within entrepreneurship that ultimately brought you guys together. Starting off with you, Kika, because you have a background in the wellness space, right?
Yes.
So what was your introduction to the world of entrepreneurship?
Ooh, could take it all the way back?
As far back as you want.
As far back as I want.
Yeah.
Okay. So my mother was actually a serial entrepreneur, and I used to be in I don't even know if it was called Staples, but a paper store with her buying supplies. She had a typewriter. I guess I'm telling my age a little bit. It was right when the computers started, phasing in. But I was always looking at her and observing, what is she doing? And I also saw how hard it was. And I kind of was like, oh, I never want to be an entrepreneur. I never want to do that, because I saw how hard it was for her to launch. And so it's so funny, because in life, everything that you fear that might happen always happens, so that you can face it and overcome it. And so here we are today. But my mother, I will say, is the first entrepreneur I ever saw and studied unknowingly.
Interesting. Now swinging it over to you, Darren, because you actually started off in the restaurateur space, if I'm not mistaken. Talk a little bit about your introduction to the world of entrepreneurship.
So my family actually came here from Jamaica. Shout out to all the Jamaicans and the other islanders listening. When they got here, they started, a few years after they got here, they ended up starting the business Golden Krust, which we've come to know and love here in New York.
Yes, yes.
And up and down the East Coast. And I watched that business get built from scratch. And one of the things that is great about Blackbox is the diversity among us three. So I'm a second generation franchisor. So that was started by my parents. And we started franchising back in '96. So after school and law school, came back to the business. So I've been in the franchising world for a long time. That was my introduction into franchising.
What were some of your earliest memories? Because, you know, the food industry is very, very tricky industry to come in, especially once again coming from an island like Jamaica. What were some of your earliest memories of entrepreneurship, kind of just growing up?
Unlimited work.
Yeah.
Right? and with food, there's a level of perfection because people love food. They're connected to food. You can feel it, touch it, taste it, smell it. So having that level of consistency every time and an ability to expand and keep that consistency, but it took a lot of work, relentlessness.
So you had background as a franchisor. Jay, you had background as a franchisee.
That's
if I'm not
correct.
mistaken. See, I'm on it.
You're on it. You got it.
So
You got it.
talk to me a little bit about your introduction, because once again, we have one person in the wellness space, another person in the food space, but you were in the fitness space. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's funny because when you asked Kika the question, I thought about like, how did I get into being an entrepreneur? And I was working in traditional corporate America for years. Work your way up the corporate ladder, become a manager, become a district manager, work under certain leadership, and you really do your best to be a great employee. But at some point, you realize like, I don't like the way they're doing things, and like maybe if I just become the leader, I can fix how that works and recreate what that looks like for people. So. My introduction became as a franchisee. I understood the brand F45. I had the vision to see where it was going. And so I was the first one to open up in New Jersey. And the great thing about becoming a franchisee, we'll unpack it more, is that I knew that if I become a franchisee, at least I got a blueprint. All the other skills that I've like developed across the years, I'll be able to implement those, and that'll help me out to grow.
What were some of the fondest memories that you had in this space? Because I've walked past an F45 before. I done seen people throwing dumbbells in the sky. Bro, I'm watching people jump up there. I'm like, is this a workout? Or like,
He's going too hard in there.
He's going way too hard in there. What were some of those memories like for you?
Man, I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. I was working out all my life, even before F45, was in the fitness industry, etc. And I remember, actually doing my first class, questioning myself, like, what have I been doing all my years? So it really helped. I enjoyed the communal aspect, the aspect of like building a brand, the aspect of like helping others, just to, because at the heart of every entrepreneur, they have a heart of like sincerity and servant leadership. So it attached that first. The business came secondly.
Kika, swinging it back over to you once again, just having that background in entrepreneurship, coming into the wellness space. From what I understand, there was a point in time where you started a studio.
Yes.
And then, unfortunately, caught fire, and you find yourself on the front page of the New York Times, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
What was going on at that point in your life?
It's so crazy. I always tell people, like, when something really amazing is happening, like the duality of life, something like crazy is happening at the same time. So, yes, my studio caught on fire. My brother, he's a jokester, so he called me like early in the morning, like, your studio's on fire. And I was like, you are such a, like, why would you joke like that?
Yeah.
He's like, no, for real, I'm serious. I was like, what? So he takes me, I'm in front of the studio, and the flame is on fire. And this guy's next to me, he's like, damn, I just bought a package. And I was like, my whole world is crumbling before my eyes, and you're worried about the package you just bought?
He focused on his downward dog. You trying to get
like, bro, are you
Yeah.
kidding me? But at that moment, I realized it wasn't just about me. And so I was like, my mindset shifted. And so at the same time, the New York Times reached out like, hey, we want to do a story on you. And I was like, with what studio? Because at the time I only had one. And so we just like recreated the whole imagery of it. I had to locate myself into a basement of a church for literally a year, like pipes and like crazy stuff while they rebuilt that space. But yeah, and that is what got me into thinking, oh, I should franchise this concept, because after the New York Times article, people started calling me like, do you have a franchise? I'm like, what the is a franchise? Maybe I do. So, and that's what made me franchise my business.
So now we have franchisee,
Yes.
franchisor.
Yeah.
Come on, man. I'm nice with it.
Come
Listen,
on.
You are. You
Right?
got
Don't
it.
say the F word.
We even unpacking it, but we're going to get there. Franchisee, franchisor, all in totally different industries, right? Once again, you're in fitness, wellness, in the food space. The golden question here is, with the difference in backgrounds that you guys come from, how do all three of you come together to now form Blackbox Franchising? Anyone can say it. Yeah, it's like,
You see how Kika's in the middle right now? That's where we put the glue.
okay.
Right? So Kika knew Jay prior to me knowing Jay. I met Kika at InvestFest in 2023. We spoke on a franchise panel. And I'm going to tell the story from my
I know,
point of
I was
view,
gonna
and
say.
Kika's gonna
Let's do it.
from her point of view. And a few weeks after, maybe a week or so after InvestFest, Kika and I got on the phone with each other and we talked about the fact that we are very aware that there are very few minorities in franchising. On the franchisor side, there's a lot of franchisees that look like us, a lot of people that own Subways, McDonald's, all that stuff. But on the franchisor side, which has benefited us immensely, we don't exist. So anyway, we're chopping it up, talking about that lack and that void. And Kika called me and she was talking about getting together and starting something. We didn't talk about the name, but starting a franchise development firm. And I said, I kind of was thinking about the same thing. I've had this thing on a desk for a couple of years, but now is an appropriate time. We had that conversation. We ended up saying yes to each other. And then after that, she introduced me to Jay. So I don't know where that side came from.
Yeah.
Kika's the glue. That's why she sits in the middle.
I'm gonna jump in.
Can I introduce?
Go ahead.
Okay.
For sure.
So when I met Darren at InvestFest, I was like blown away. First of all, I didn't know who was sitting on the panel with me at the time, so I just showed up to the panel and then I'm like, what? And so he was like, I'm about to start a franchise development company. I was like, I am too. And it's funny because he's always like, oh, you're gonna get these hands if we. So I was like, whatever. And so it kind of like sat on the table, like he said. But then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start a franchise because I was told like, just focus on your brand,
Right?
Because you could just do that. Like I could just focus on opening 300 locations and say, I'm not going to teach others how to do it. So someone was like, focus on your brand, don't help them. And I was like, nah, I'm going to help them. I think that's my calling.
Yeah.
So I was like, I started Blackbox, and then I was like, but this is too powerful. I need help because TJ Millionaire, one of my best friends, he strategically places people around him that help make him whole. Like most people think that they can just do everything by themselves. But the true strategic move is to bring powerful people with you to do things that you can't do and you do things they can't do. So I was always a fan of Jay and his marketing that he did on, and we found out it's much deeper. It's operations, but the marketing and the amazing look on Instagram, social media. So I took him to the diner and I was like, I want you to be a part of something. And he was like, we were talking about something completely different. I don't think he got it at the time. And I was like, no, Jay. And then he was like, okay, I'm down.
She's being nice. She's not telling the truth. I was trying to. So yeah, I looked at Kika as like, all right, this is a co-business person. Like I always like talked about what I got going on in business and what ideas I may have. So I was being very genuine about, hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing. This is where I'm going to pivot. And I was really breaking it down. I was very passionate. I realized as I'm talking to Kika, she's looking at me, but she's looking through me. Okay. And she says, Jay, that's not it. I need you to hear what I'm doing.
I'm like, I don't want to hear about that.
You over here pitching your life with that's cute. But let me talk to you about this. Yeah.
So she tells me what's going on, and of course I had to play hardball. Like, all right, give me some time to talk about this. Needless to say, I'm like, oh yeah, you got it.
So this is where it gets interesting because business is hard. Finding one person to partner with in business is harder. But now when you talk about three people coming together collectively, it's incredibly difficult because everybody in the space wants to make money, right?
Yeah.
But not everybody has the same values. Not everybody is on the same mission. Not everyone has the same, characteristics to where it's like, hey man, I can go to sleep at peace at night knowing that, we both have access to the same bank accounts. We both have access to all these documents. You're not going to try and pull a fast one on me. So was there some type of like a vetting process early on that each of you guys had individually to where it's like, all right, I'm gonna give it some time. I'm gonna watch how they move here and I'm gonna run this test and make sure they do this before I go ahead and say like, all right, I'm all in on this? Or was it just like, nope, taking a leap of faith, we going right in?
I'll go. I was Kika name preceded her for me. Okay. So I was already aware of her and her business. And sometimes I think people become too hard on people. I mean, if this young black woman did what she did, she's done something amazing already. So that made a lot of sense to me. Then, secondly, what was she talking about? Did it make sense? Franchise development, and for me, did it sit right with my spirit in terms of like, does this allow me, because I was in a space where I was ready to serve, does it allow me to serve more? So that was very simple. Darren, I met him through Kika. I was like, we'll see if he actually
You got to like muscle him up.
We check it. I know what they say. 2 weeks later, this guy is incredible.
Was that the same for you as well? In terms of just like, all right, I got to take some time. Or you're just like, nah, like I've seen everything I need to see from Kika. I've seen everything I need to see from Jay. I'm all in.
So I spent some good time in Atlanta with Kika.
Gotcha.
Right. So we sort of prepped for that panel together and we kicked it for a little bit. And obviously she's got a great business. So I knew that there was a good business mind there. We had a couple of good conversations after that too. I like to say I'm pretty decent at reading people. So for me, it's less about the edification and more about kind of where your heart is, right? And why are we really getting into this? And I appreciated her bringing Jay. I met Jay at a Golden Krust grand opening. And I was like, oh, this is thoughtful. Like they came out to one of my events. So we went to dinner after and that was good. I was like, yep, like him, like where his spirit's at. Clearly a smart guy. And that's it. That's it for me.
This is good. And ultimately, Blackbox Franchising was born. You guys obviously now are crushing it. I want to kind of get into the meat and potatoes of it all because I was throwing some vernacular around earlier that I'm starting to get privy to now. Franchisor, franchisee, franchise this, franchise that. You guys are eat, sleep, and breathe it, but the audience who's watching may not be familiar. So let's kind of unpack that. You guys specialize in any and all things franchising. I want to kind of bring it down to as foundational of a level as we possibly can, right? So if somebody's watching this episode, whether they're an established entrepreneur or aspiring, in simplest term, how exactly does franchising work?
That's a Darren question.
Let's go.
The simple parts where I usually have because I have trouble, but so there's really when you think about franchising, think about two sets of people, right? One is the franchisor. That's the person that owns the brand, owns the intellectual property, the trademarks. They're the one with the systems and all of the game. That's we'll call it the umbrella company. And then you've got the franchisee. They're the ones that are on the ground. They're actually operating the business. And I'll use McDonald's because everybody knows who they are.
Facts.
So when you walk into a McDonald's, 99% of the time, you are in a franchisee location.
Okay.
Right? And that franchisee is operating by using the game that the umbrella company taught them. That's the franchisor. So that franchise, you got to pay for it though. Right? So you've got McDonald's, the umbrella corporation. They've got recipes, they've got systems, they've got what the uniform looks like, how do you greet people, what does the place look like? Cool. I want to use McDonald's brand equity because everybody knows McDonald's. I want to buy into that brand. I want to become one of their operators, which is the franchisee. So I pay them a fee, they train me, they give me the game, they give me the recipes, the secrets, and they support me as a franchisee. And my job as a franchisee is to carry out their vision, follow the rules, and pay a fee for that in exchange. But obviously I get to leverage their brand equity. So that's why it's good to be a franchisee and good to be a franchisor because you get paid for your vision and your brain and your thoughts.
How do you guys, so once again, franchisors, like this is my business. I'm going to allow other people to get versions or like a extension of my business that they can they don't own outright because I own it, but it's like they own the extension of it. If I'm good there. How do you guys help people who maybe come into your ecosystem to determine, okay, I'm interested in entrepreneurship. Am I a franchisor or am I a franchisee? Does it make more sense for me to build my own thing and then from there let people get pieces of it? Or should I just go the quote unquote easy route? Because obviously nothing's easy, but go the easy route and say like McDonald's already did all the hard work for me, right? Chick-fil-A already did all the hard work for me. I'm gonna just go ahead and be a franchisee, collect this check and go mind my business. How do I decide between the two?
Well, it's really two different sets of people. Some people are really good at taking something that already exists and like taking it to the next level. And then others are like, I want to take my business and actually turn it into a franchise. So some people just want a model that they can make money off of, replace their income. build wealth for their family, but they don't want to have to figure it out. The person who turns their business into a franchise is the person who loves, or maybe, at some point they don't love figuring it out anymore. But they've done the work to figure it out, and now they're prepared to sell it to others. Most of the clients we have are people who have small businesses who are franchise curious, and it's really just giving them the information and almost like coaching them to even believe that they too can be a franchise brand, because the biggest part of the problem is people not thinking that they can be a franchise when they can.
I was going to echo a lot of the same things that Kika said. It is not to, minimize it. It's just the reality is, specifically in our community, I don't know if, and I know this to be true, that the conversation is like, hey, you can become a franchisor. See, typically when you see a successful business owner, what makes them more successful in our community is if they get a second location, right? Yeah. If they get a third one, they're king, right? Yeah. But the reality is you really are spreading yourself thin. And, I say you're becoming a district manager, so to speak. And where's the longevity in that, and, et cetera. So I think, and I found this to be true, which is really exciting, providing the option of, hey, become a franchisor. What does that look like? Help them understand the benefits, and really helping them understand how when you become a franchisor, you now officially have created a brand that lives beyond you. That's when the light bulb go off.
Hey, business owners, imagine being able to walk in and out of banks and starting to see approvals instead of rejections. And it's not because you changed anything with your business, but because you put your personal credit report in the position it needed to be in. Here at Takeoff Financial, our team helps business owners just like you using consumer law strategies that'll get real results in real time. We remove collections, charge-offs, late payments, evictions, delinquent student loans, along with anything else that's keeping you from getting to your funding goals. And best of all, it's completely done for you. We send the disputes, file the complaints, and do everything needed to help put you in position to access your first $50,000 to $100,000 in business credit. So if you're interested, head over to takeofffinancial.com or click the link in the description below to book a free consultation with me and my team to learn more about how we can help you get one step closer to your funding goals. Diving a little bit more into that, because I think you got to the point that you guys just broke down. I think now that people understand franchisor, it's like, if I am not McDonald's, I cannot be a franchisor. If I'm not a Chick-fil-A, if I'm not one of these big name companies, I can't do it, right? But I'm sure that through you guys' experience, there's a miseducation there that I think you're helping to clear up. So if I am a business owner that at some point in time wants to start setting the foundation today for me to become a franchisor tomorrow, what are some of the key things that need to be in place for my business for me to even be in a position to get to that point?
I'd say you need to be cash flowing.
Okay.
You need to have systems.
Okay.
Because those systems are ultimately what the franchisees, that's why they're paying you for those systems. It needs to be a brand, or the function of the business needs to be, you need to be able to replicate it. And duplicate it, not just in your own region. Well, it depends on how big you want to get. But it needs to be something that somebody else can carry out in an appropriate manner without you. It needs to be able to function without you, the founder. So it needs to be something that can be packaged, duplicated over and over again. So I would say, if you're a business owner thinking about becoming a franchisor, start working on your systems. Start thinking about, how does this operate without me being here? And can this operate without me physically being here, me being the center of that brand?
When you say cash flow, is there a specific dollar amount that do I need to be $1 million business? Do I need to be a $250,000 business? I already see Kika shaking her head, so I'm excited. No, this is good. No, but this is good.
I'm like,
do I need to be like, is there a specific dollar amount that I need to get to before I can start thinking about it? Or is it really all variable in the grand scheme of things?
I would say I like to watch the margins.
Okay.
Right? Because each franchisor has the option to sell their franchises for as much money as they want. And a lot of the focus oftentimes is margins. Like how much does it cost to build one? What are the margins, and how quickly can I get my money back? Right? Because you have some franchises you can get in at a very low cost, and perhaps the cash flow isn't that high from a dollar standpoint, but the margins are high. So I like to focus on the margins, because you need room to charge your franchisees royalties and advertising fees. So
I kind of hear you say that, and I think about the quote. What's the quote? Revenue is vanity, profit is sanity. To where it's like, you be running $1 million business.
That's right.
Ain't $1 million in the bank.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So this is okay. So I'm learning. This is very, very good. So now when we're talking about the people who are the franchisor, I'm sure you guys sit with hundreds of them, right? Are there common traits that you're seeing in not the business, but in the people that are actually fit to be franchisors? 'Cause I'm sure it's not just, it's not all peaches and cream. There's a lot that goes into it. What are some of those common traits that you guys see?
I think honestly having a heart of leadership, a lot of the franchisors that we, bring into the marketplace, even in the now that's in the pipeline, they all got the heart of leadership and a passion for their brand. And they all, want to do that magic word that everyone talk about, which is scale. Like they want to grow, but they understand that through franchising, that's the way that they can actually kind of, pour back into people. So they also super smart about their brand and their business, every last one of them. And, they're innovative in terms of staying ahead of the curve with what's next in their industry. I think those are some of the traits that I've realized with all of them.
Yeah.
What are so now if we go to the other side, which is a side I'm sure even more people be interested in, the franchisee. I don't want to build nothing. You build it. Let me come in and I'll just help you run it from there. What is the process? And I know for every business there's probably certain nuances, but typically what are some of the common practices that are in place for someone? Let's say I want to become a franchisee. What does that step by step look like?
So you want to buy someone else's brand.
I want to buy somebody else's brand.
So each brand has a different set of rules or a process, but it usually starts with a franchise application. So it's an application that the candidate would fill out with just general information, and then high level would be like, how much money do you have to invest? If it's a dog washing do you like dogs? Like little things to just kind of filter out some of the people, because I always tell people it's not like people say, how hard is it to sell your franchise? It's not hard at all, but it's very easy to sell to the wrong person. So you have to really weed out people and really build a profile that would work within your business and find that right person. So the application process, then each brand has a different vetting process. Sometimes it's like a discovery session online where they find out more about the brand. And then it's more about the person, like who are you? Why do you want to become a part of this brand? Assets are important, and I realize in franchising they are. I'm not gonna say that, but I skip that part. But assets are very important. If you're selling your franchise to someone, make sure they have assets. And then beyond that, it's like, do I want to do business with this person for 10 years? Because the average franchise term is for 10 years. So you have to really fill out the person. So like a lot of the paperwork, it's just paperwork. But what it really comes down to is like, is this a strategic move for my brand to sell my franchise to this person? So you as the franchisee, you just have to represent yourself as best and honestly as possible to see if you would be a good match for that brand. And if you are, then they would say, okay, here's my FDD, franchise disclosure document with all the rules, all the information. They sign it. You have to wait 14 days before you accept money from anyone. In that 14 days, I could say, I don't want to do this anymore. Or I could say, I'm ready. After the 14 days, depending on what state you're in, then you can sign and own that franchise brand.
I was just going to add on, but you hit it, the FDD.
Yes.
Franchise disclosure document. If you're a prospective franchisee, that is the resume essentially for any franchisor that you want to get down with.
Got you. Okay.
Required to be disclosed under the feds and state law. So franchisors have to show you what's in their closet.
Okay. So now if I'm a franchisee, how exactly do I get paid? Is it one of those things where I'm on payroll like? So, for example, if I'm a franchisee of a brick and mortar, am I on payroll like everyone else that works in the brick and mortar? Do I get paid based on the profitability of my franchise? How does that work?
It's up to you. You are, as a franchisee.
You ain't said nothing but a word.
Yeah.
You ain't said nothing but a word.
As a franchisee, you're essentially the CEO of that location.
Okay.
You build it. You sign the lease. Your name's on the lease. You pay for it. You hire the employees, fire the employees, promote the employees. You run payroll. It's your shop.
Okay.
But you do have to abide by the rules of corporate, but they're not really up in your business like that. So it's up to you as a business owner, a franchisee, when you pay yourself. What you have to think about, and the difference between being a franchisee and just being an individual business owner outside of franchising, is you have to pay the franchisor royalties and advertising fees on a go-forward basis. Outside of that, run the business.
When you say pay royalties, can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, so the franchisor in exchange for you utilizing their brand and being supported, you have to pay them royalties. It's a percentage of your top line sales.
Okay.
You also have to pay them advertising fees, which is a percentage of the franchisee's top line sales as well. So that's an ongoing fee that you have to think about as a franchisee. And no, it's up to you when you pay yourself. It's your business. So you are still a CEO of that individual location.
I'll tell you something. If I own a McDonald's and that McDonald's made $1 million this year, the McDonald's that made $1 million, I made the $1 million. It's coming to my pocket. No, but in all seriousness, once again, to you guys' point, this is such important information because we drive by these businesses every single day. And us as a people, it seems so far-fetched because we attach it to these huge dollar amounts. But as I'm taking the information in real time, this sounds like something anybody can really get into and get started with. When we look at the numbers, coming into this interview, I was able to look this up. There are currently 33 million small businesses in the United States, but less than 1% of them, less than 1% of the franchisors are Black, right? Why do you think this gap still exists in 2025? And what is some of the work that Blackbox Franchising is doing to help close that gap?
Yeah, so in 2018, I was one of the first Black female franchisors in the whole country. And I didn't realize that was like a thing. I started getting press and people were like, oh, I'm like, wait, where's everybody else? And I started going to franchise events and I was like the only one. There was no diversity. And I was like, but why? And I'm trying to figure out like, why, where is everyone? And when I told you, they said, focus on your brand, don't try to help them. I was like, oh, it's kind of like being gate kept. Like the information is out there, but no one's saying, hey, this is an option. And so I think those numbers and what we're finding is that people just don't know that they can be a franchise. So it's like one of the things we always lead with is, have you ever thought about franchising? And everyone's like, yes, like, yes, like a calling, they answer their calling. So I think it's just lack of information on how to enter the industry. And that's what Blackbox does, is it makes it digestible so people can see that it's something that I can do too.
I also believe that, and it's just the truth, that once you get the information and you decide that you want to become a franchisor, the reality is it can be discouraging when you find out that on average, not through Blackbox, but on average to become a franchisor, that can range anywhere between, realistically, let's just say 60 to 100 grand to actually turn your brand into a franchise. So it become a aggressive investment, and most small business owners are not necessarily in position to make that investment up front to get started. So, in short, that's some of the things that we've been able to attack right away. Like with us, our brand, the entry door right now is, we have as low as $625 a month. We have, just to kind of make it easy for a person that's a small business owner to start to create their brand into a franchise, which is exciting.
Wow. So for the three of you, well, before I even get to that, I think another thing that's interesting to me about the concept of franchising, from what I'm seeing now, especially because we're in the digital age, you have a lot of more people who are getting into business, but they're not opening brick and mortars. They're opening e-commerce stores. They're opening online business and beyond. Are we able to incorporate franchising even with online businesses? Oh, her eyes got big. This is good. No, I'm getting excited with you. I'm getting excited with you. We can do franchising even with online businesses as well.
Yes, digital products. And shout out to all my influencers out there. Your webinars, your communities, master classes, essentially it's a franchise. But it's not, because you're teaching people how to do what you do, but it's not within your own brand. And which is fine. You're sharing information, you're teaching people. But what if you could do that to all the 5,000 people in your community and they open up your brand instead of theirs? That's the power of franchising. But absolutely, digital products can and are being franchised every single day. Are you interested?
After this episode, we might have to have a conversation. For the three of you, what are the conversations that you're having now with family, right? Because I know you have children. Do you have children?
No children.
Yes.
Got you. Okay. So even with family, whether it's cousins, aunts, uncles, whatever, what are those conversations like? Because you guys are in it. And they have direct access to you guys. So I don't know if they're blowing up your phone like, hey, what's this franchisor business I keep hearing y'all talk about? What are those conversations like now?
Whew. I'll go first. Look, you say kids. I'm like, whew. Well, my son's about to be 16, so he's old enough to get it. And there was one point where I was like building Blackbox from my dining room table, and he was like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And I was like, just give me a minute. You ever see a psychopath on a documentary with a pencil in their ear and they're just like typing?
Yeah.
Like, and then at some point I was like, I let him in. And I was like, this is what franchising is. These are the numbers. And so when I look at someone, and I talked to Isaac this morning, shout out to Fanbase. But like second generation, anything is like huge and massive. And that is what kind of appealed me to Darren, because like the wealth of knowledge that he has is something that we're trying to give our children. Like he is what we're trying to do for our children, second generation.
Yeah.
So for my son, I'm like, I have to teach you all these things because if like you have to carry on the torch. So when it comes to my kids, I don't really like, the main focus is my son and my daughter, for them to understand the business so that they can take it to the next level. And so I think having those conversations at any age, like even a 6-year-old, like you got to understand, because what we're not doing in our community is passing down businesses. We're passing down whatever, life insurance, bank account. That's not going to last. Like we have to pass down brands. And so that's the conversation I'm having with my kids. Don't fuck this up.
That's the best way to put it.
That's funny.
I'd say for me, family wise, it's just, and we have to do it we have to sit down and reflect also.
Yeah.
Because the past question you asked about how we're closing that gap, right? That gap from minorities and Black people in franchising. We already have almost about 30 clients that are going to be, they are emerging franchisors, which is more than the Black franchisors in the country right now.
Wow.
And we started last June.
Crazy.
Right? So for them, when I'm talking to family, I'm just like, this is big and it's happening quickly. So just stay along for the ride.
Yeah.
And like, give us space, let us work. You know what I mean? Like, you can't find us. We're in the basement on the board. So we'll be back in a couple of years and the entire franchise world would have changed. And hopefully you have us to thank for it. So that's why we're here.
For the people that you guys have seen that you're instilling this message in and you're educating, what do you see as the key difference between the individuals that have taken that leap to say, okay, this has been placed in front of me, I'm going to actively work to either become a franchisee or become a franchisor, versus the people that's like, I'm cool? Because entrepreneurship, it's starting to become cool now, right? But just business in general, like typically if you're an entrepreneur, you're the black sheep of your family, right? Now you get even higher level when we talk about franchising. I mean, now you're asking for cousins, aunts, and uncles to look at you like, what's he working on? Is there a key difference you're seeing between the people that take the leap and get into the space and educate themselves on it versus the ones that kind of stay on the sidelines and just like, we'll revisit this in 10 years. Let me try and see if I could, get rich quick on something else.
I'll be honest with you. There haven't really been many that have stayed on the sideline once we have a conversation, which is a genuine blessing, and it lets you know that you're doing, God's work. Because the reality is, what I've noticed, and I'm sure Kika and Darren can speak for themselves, which is insane, when you start to have a conversation with your brother, because that's what we are, or your sister, and you actually really see their eyes open and understand, it become a sense of relief.
Yes.
Because becoming a business owner it's fun, it's trendy, but it becomes after a while like if you don't know what you're doing, it can be overwhelming. You're always trying to figure stuff out. Overzealous. It has its benefit, but all that goes with it, right? And it's also, like you said, a lonely role. Well, the reality is, imagine if there is a solution, and there is a actual rainbow at the end of that tunnel. Well, we're genuinely actually sitting down and helping them to understand how and why franchising should be a solution and how it is a solution. And what's really cool is that, and I'll just add this in there, is that we didn't create franchising; it already existed. Yeah. So it helps a person to realize, like, they know franchising, they know the word franchisor-ish. They might not be that familiar with it, but, a lot of times, I think about when I grew up, I used to say, man, I wish somebody would have sat down with me and just explained this to me. Yeah. And that's essentially what we find ourselves doing, when we have one-on-one conversations, and even this dialogue with you. Hats off and thanks for having us on, but it really is like conversations like this that allows people to have insight into it, and then they can naturally be franchise curious.
I love it. Obviously, once again, you guys have an active hand in this. You're in it in real time. But even still, I'm curious to know in each of your individual journeys, has navigating this experience of building this empire with Blackbox Franchising made you look introspectively and force you to have to relearn something yourself, or, you know, challenge something yourself that you believe for a very long time, that through this journey of whether it's building business with each other or just meeting individuals and growing this business, that's made you go back and think like, oh no, I had this all wrong all along, or I had to go back to the drawing board with this one?
That's so funny because this morning there was a similar question, like if you had to go back, what would you do differently? And I remember when I met with Jay at the diner, and I was like, we have to run. We have to run with this. We have to, small businesses are closing at an all-time rate. There's actually, the last I looked, there's no data, especially African-American small businesses are being demolished. And it's because we're in a new world. And if you haven't shifted your model, like, you're being destroyed, right? So my whole thing was like, I want to make sure we help as many people as possible before they close. And when I first started my first brand, I was like 25, made my first million in my 20s, and I'm just chilling. I'm just like, you know, traveling the world, hanging out. But I didn't realize that, like, this was a whole industry that, like, didn't exist before. So with Blackbox, I think we're all aware that we're the really only ones educating our community about franchising, and it's speed. So speed of execution, like, we have to get, and again, thank you for bringing us on here, because now more people know, oh, franchising might be for me. So speed is so important when it comes to things like this. And so that's one of the things that is I would say very important that I didn't really do at first, but with Blackbox, I was like, oh, I'm ready.
What would you say the next 10 years for this company, for Blackbox Franchising, looks like for all three of you?
10 years?
10 years.
I was, from 1 to 10%.
I would say a complete evening of the playing field. Okay. Right? There is just, let's call it what it is. There's a handful of black franchisors in the country. 2 of them are right here. And we have seen the benefits of being on this side. Yeah. And it's almost negligent that people were deprived of this information, right? So in 10 years, when people are thinking about, man, I want to get a franchise, or I want to expand to another business, there's going to be black-owned franchisors ready to sell your brand. It's not immediately going to be McDonald's, Subway, Burger King. No, it's going to be way more vast options. And especially as we all talk about supporting each other within our own communities, this is a huge avenue on how you could support that community. Yeah, is getting into being a black franchisor and a black franchisee. And when you think about how it flows down, if you have a franchisor that's minority owned, you got a franchisee that's minority owned, that franchisee probably has 20 employees that all have kids, that all have cousins, and they're supporting everybody. So we have seen the benefit of franchising and watch our franchisees make a great living and have great lives. And those franchisees come from our community. So it's a ripple effect. So in 10 years, man, we won't even have to be talking about this. It's going to be even. It's going to be even. At that point, we're just going to be out, you know.
The work that we're doing is essentially we're rebuilding the ecosystem just with our brands. Darren always saying this, it's huge when you hear it. It's like roughly 50 cents of every dollar that's spent in the USA every day is spent through a franchise. And when he used to say that, it blew my brain, you know, because I thought about it. I was like, yeah, well, you know, when you go eat, you usually eat at a franchise, or a lot of times people don't know a lot of these hotels are franchises. My kid goes to a franchise daycare. These things already exist. And, you know, let's take the franchising aside. Now, these businesses already exist in our community, right? We have daycares, we have hotels, but we just not participating, and we're not putting ourselves in position to receive that 50 cent, right? Yeah. So now I think what we're doing, and I know what we're doing, the work that we're doing is going to allow that ecosystem to change. I can't wait to, you know, walk down the block wherever I'm at and see, oh, there's the Grill Master, you know, and there's Wrinkle Free, and, you know, there's all our other great brands that we've created.
Attention business owners. Are you tired of getting denied for business credit because your personal credit is still holding you back? You have the business, you have the vision, but every single time that you apply, lenders hit you with the same brick wall time after time again, your credit report. You see, here at Takeoff Financial, we use advanced consumer law strategies to get every negative item removed from your credit report. Things like collections, charge-offs, late payments, delinquent student loans, and so much more. And best of all, it's fully done for you. Our team sends out the dispute letters, files the complaints, and handles everything needed to get your credit to the finish line, which means you don't have to lift a finger, and we'll do all the heavy lifting needed to put you in position to finally get approved for business credit. So if you're ready to stop getting denied and start getting funded, head over to takeofffinancial.com to book a free consultation with me and my team to see how we can put you in position to get one step closer to your funding goals. Powerful, powerful. Darren, Kika, Jay, thank you for coming on here. This is the first time we ever had a conversation around this, so this was very insightful for me as well, and I know it was insightful for the audience. I know we got to get you guys out of here. Before we do, most importantly, let the people watching know where they can find you guys, and if they're interested, how they can work with you as well.
Yeah, so what's that song? Blackbox Franchising on every single channel, every single network. Blackbox Franchising, IG, YouTube. We'll be at InvestFest. We have a booth right at the entrance. You can't miss us. We'll be speaking. So if you are small, and when you were talking about what is the thing that keeps people from doing this, it's fear. And I remember I had a pastor, like, fear is false evidence appearing real. And you have to just live. Like, just try it. Like, take your business to the next level. Don't think about all the bad things that could happen. Like, what if you became the next McDonald's? So if you're watching this, go to blackboxfranchising.com, go to all of our social platforms, and just sign up to hear about. Darren leads an information session weekly where you could just learn about it and take a chance. Like, I feel like 2025 is the last year you can take a chance. After that, it's like the door is shut. So while the window of opportunity is open, walk through the door.
Come on. Listen.
Amen.
And let the church say amen.
Amen.
And if you haven't already, ladies and gentlemen, what are you doing? Take a second, take a minute, take an hour out of your day right here, right now, to hit that like button, show this episode some love, and tell a friend to come back and rewatch it again. As always, my name is Marvin Francois. That's Darren Hawthorne, Kika Wise, Jay Sims. You guys have been good. We've been great. This has been amazing. And until next time, we'll see you guys. Peace.